Listen closely, Aries, because if this message found you tonight, it's not an accident. Something has been moving around you, quietly, powerfully, almost like a door you didn't know existed has just opened. And before we go any further, let me ask you one thing. Have you felt it? That pressure behind your ribcage, that whisper that says, your life is about to change. Aries, God has been placing you on my heart all day, and I need you to hear this with your whole soul. You are standing at the edge of a massive wealth shift. Not later, not someday, now. The world you thought was out of reach is already leaning toward you. Favor is moving, doors are rearranging themselves. What was stored for you in the spiritual realm is finally pushing into the physical. So, breathe, stay with me, because in the next moments you're going to understand why this blessing is coming and why it was always meant for you. Are you ready to step into the story that's been calling your name? Aries, let me stay right here with you for a moment, because when I say this message didn't arrive by accident, I mean it with every breath I have. There are things that move toward us long before we ever see them, currents beneath the surface, shifts that begin in silence, then reveal themselves all at once. The way dawn slips in before you realize the night is over. And that is what's happening around you now. This isn't a gentle nudge from the universe. It's a declaration, a calling out of your name with a clarity that shakes the air around it. If you're feeling that pressure, that strange sense that something invisible is rearranging itself, you're not imagining it. You've been touched by a timing that isn't random, a divine timing that rarely shows up this boldly. You know, I've always believed that God speaks to each of us in the language we understand best. And for you, Aries, He speaks in fire, in momentum, in shifts that arrive without warning but change everything they touch. And you've been standing right at the edge of one of those shifts, even if you haven't had the words for it. Maybe you felt restless without knowing why. Maybe you've been waking up with that strange mix of hope and fear in your chest. Hope because something feels close. Fear because you can't see it yet. But hear me, God doesn't place a stirring like that in the heart of someone He didn't choose. This wealth shift, this turning of the tide, it isn't for everyone, but it is for you. There's a moment in every Aries life when the universe stops whispering and starts opening doors that were locked for years. When the spiritual realm stops storing what belongs to you and starts releasing it. And I want you to imagine that for a second. Imagine something that has been building for years, finally crossing over into the physical world, the weight of it, the beauty, the responsibility, the relief. You may not realize this, but you've been preparing for this moment long before you knew what you were preparing for. Every disappointment, every setback, every season where you felt like you were giving more than you received, all of it formed the strength you're going to need for what comes next. Because wealth, real wealth, isn't just money. It's authority, it's clarity. It's stepping into a life that fits your spirit instead of shrinking your spirit to fit a life. And that's why this shift is coming now. Not earlier, not later, now. Right when you finally have the heart and the vision to hold it. So let this truth settle in you. You're not chasing prosperity. Prosperity is moving toward you, like a river returning to its source, like something that remembers your name. And as you breathe into that, Aries, as you let the weight of that blessing sink into your bones, notice what's already happening inside you. A loosening, a quiet opening, a sense that maybe, just maybe, you were meant for more than the life you've been surviving. Stay with that feeling, because where we're about to go next is the part where everything you were taught about wealth gets rewritten from the inside out. Aries, let me sit with you a little longer, because there's something you've carried for years, maybe without even noticing it. A story someone else planted in you, a story that never truly belonged to your spirit. You've been told, again and again, that wanting more makes you greedy, that wealth corrupts, that success somehow dims a person's soul. And every time you reach for something bigger, there was that voice in the back of your mind whispering that you should shrink yourself, that you should settle, that wanting more was a flaw. But Aries, you were never meant to live in that smallness, and you can feel that. Can't you? That quiet ache inside your chest. That pull towards something larger than the life you were handed. I want you to breathe for a moment and let this truth rise in you. Wealth does not distort a pure heart. It reveals it. It magnifies what you already are. If there is kindness in you, it becomes larger. If there is integrity in you, it becomes unshakable. If there is a desire to lift others, then abundance becomes the tool that lets you do it. You were never the danger, the lie was. There is a reason you were born under fire, a reason you feel alive when you are building, reaching, creating something from nothing. That is the soul of a pioneer, someone who walks ahead of the world and carves a path through the dark so others can follow safely behind. And God does not give that kind of spirit to someone who is meant to stay small. He doesn't place fire in the hands of someone who is meant to live their life hiding from light. Some people are given blessings, but Aries, you are given assignments. You are entrusted with purpose, and that is why the old beliefs no longer fit you. They fall off you like clothes you've outgrown. You can feel it, right? Your spirit pushing against the walls of old conditioning. Your instincts telling you that the story you were raised with is too narrow for the person you are becoming. Let me tell you something quietly. Wealth, for someone like you, is not a symbol of selfishness. It is a way of multiplying impact. It is a way of protecting the people you love. It is a way of creating stability where there was none. It is a way of finally breathing without fear. But more than anything, it is a way of honoring the gifts you were given. You were not created to dim your fire so others feel comfortable. You were not built to apologize for wanting more when your soul knows that more is where your purpose begins. And maybe this is why your heart feels different tonight, why something in you is waking up, stretching, remembering itself. Because deep down, you've always known that abundance wasn't the enemy. Fear was, shame was, the stories of others were. But your story, your real story, is finally surfacing. And as it rises, something beautiful happens. The weight you've carried begins to loosen. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens. The world feels a little wider. Stay in that widening, Aries, because from this place of truth, we can step into the part of your journey where the universe begins its great rearranging, and the wealth meant for you starts making its way home. Aries, let me bring you a little closer for this part, because what I'm about to share with you isn't something I say lightly. There are moments in history when the world beneath our feet moves, long before anyone hears the sound. Moments when something shifts in the fabric of life itself. Not loudly, not dramatically, but undeniably. And right now, we are living through one of those moments. You may have heard the phrase before, the great wealth transfer, but I want you to feel what that really means. Picture an ocean that has been held back for generations. Its tide pulled away by the hands of greed, manipulation, power built on fear instead of truth. For so long, it belonged to people who gathered wealth not to bless, but to control, not to build, but to hoard, not to serve, but to dominate. But the tide is turning, quietly at first, then unmistakably, because every ocean, no matter how far it retreats, eventually comes home. And Aries, you are standing right where that wave is about to return. I want you to understand this with the depth of your spirit. The shift happening now isn't random. It isn't luck. It isn't coincidence. It is divine recalibration, a balancing of what has been distorted for far too long. When God moves wealth, He doesn't move it toward noise. He moves it toward integrity, toward strength, toward those whose hearts are fierce enough to carry abundance without losing themselves in the process. That is why your name is among the ones being called. You, Aries, with the fire in your bones, with the instinct to protect, with the courage to begin again after every fall. You aren't being handed wealth because you need it. You're being entrusted with it because the world needs what you will do with it. There is a difference, and God knows it. You've always been the kind who steps forward when others pull back, the one who sees possibility where others see risk. You carry a spirit that doesn't just survive change, it leads it. And that is exactly what this moment in history demands. Imagine a long corridor of closed doors, doors held shut by systems, by corruption, by the belief that only a few deserved access to opportunity. Now, imagine the locks dissolving, not because someone opened them for you, but because heaven decided you no longer needed permission. That is the era you are walking into, a time when resources are returning to the hands of those who will use them to build, to uplift, to restore. A time when light bearers are being equipped, a time when the warriors of truth are being resourced, and whether you fully feel it yet or not, something in you recognizes this moment. Your intuition knows, your breath deepens, your chest softens. There is a quiet certainty rising in you, as if your soul is saying, finally. This is not about taking from others. It is about returning to balance. It is about restoring what was delayed, withheld, or stolen from generations who came before you. It is about placing wealth where it will be multiplied, not hidden. Stay with me here, Aries, because the deeper we go into this truth, the more you will see that this shift is not just arriving toward you. It has already begun inside you, and that inner change, that awakening, is what prepares you for the part of your story where the harvest you've been waiting for finally steps into the light. Aries, if you could see yourself the way heaven has seen you all these years, you would understand why this moment is arriving for you now. Not because luck finally showed up, not because something random fell into place, but because the seeds you planted in silence have been gathering light. Quietly, faithfully, even when you felt forgotten. I want you to think back for a second. Not to the victories, but to those nights when you kept going anyway. When no one clapped. When no one understood how heavy things were for you. When you had every reason to give up, and yet something inside you said, not today, not like this. I'm not done yet. Those moments mattered more than you knew. There is a kind of strength that never announces itself. It grows in the shadows, in the places where no praise can reach it, in the decisions you made when no one was watching. And you, Aries, you've built a whole foundation out of those unseen choices. You carried yourself with honesty, even when dishonesty would have been easier. You kept your heart soft, even when life tried to harden it. You continued to show up, even when you had nothing left but a thin thread of faith and a stubborn kind of hope. And do you know what God does with a heart like that? He remembers every sacrifice, every time you steadied yourself, every moment you chose integrity over convenience. Nothing slipped through his fingers. Nothing disappeared into the dark. Nothing went unnoticed. Your life may have looked quiet from the outside, but the spiritual realm has been rumbling with the weight of your becoming. Harvest doesn't show up for those who rush. It comes for those who endure, for those who water barren ground because they believe the ground will not stay barren forever, for those who rise when everything inside them wants to lie down. And Aries, that is what you've been doing. You've been rising again and again, often with no proof that your rising would ever be rewarded. But reward has its own timing. It arrives either too early for the unprepared, or right on time for the ones who refuse to break. You are the second kind. This next season is not a stroke of fortune. It is the natural outcome of spiritual investment. It is the blossoming of everything you poured yourself into when the world believed you were standing still. Your effort has shape now. Your faith has gravity. Your resilience has become a doorway. Something steady is unfolding for you. Something that doesn't flare up and disappear, but builds layer by layer into a life that can finally hold the magnitude of who you are. And as you breathe that in, as you feel the truth of it settling in your chest, let yourself soften into the knowing that nothing was wasted. Not the pain, not the patience, not the waiting. Because, Aries, the moment a seed breaks through the soil, it isn't the beginning. It is the proof that everything hidden was working. Hold that thought gently, because where we're going next is the part of your story where the source of your abundance becomes clearer than ever. Aries, take a breath with me here, because this next truth isn't just meant to be heard, it's meant to be felt, deep in the place inside you that has carried too much for too long. There comes a moment in every warrior's life when the world tries to convince them that their survival depends on the wrong things, on the job they keep, on the paycheck that arrives every other Friday, on systems that were never built with their spirit in mind. But you were never meant to depend on anything that fragile. If you look back, really look back, you'll see it. All the times something should have broken you, but didn't. All the times the math didn't add up, but somehow you were still carried. All the times doors closed, yet you kept moving as if something unseen was guiding your steps. Because something was. There is a difference between working for a life and being sustained by one. And somewhere along the road, Aries, you began waking up to a truth most people never realize, that your source was never the job you held, never the salary they offered, never the approval of the world around you. Your source was always higher, quieter, steadier, and it has never once failed you. I want you to imagine for a moment how different your life feels when you stop gripping the things that were only meant to support you and start trusting the one who was meant to supply you. There is a softening that happens, a release in the chest, a sense that maybe you are not meant to carry the weight of the entire world on your own shoulders after all. You don't have to earn what was already written for you. You don't have to fight for what was promised to your spirit long before this lifetime. You don't have to negotiate your worth with people who cannot see your calling. And when that truth lands, when it truly lands, the fear you've been holding without even noticing begins to loosen its grip. Because abundance doesn't come from clocking in. It doesn't come from being perfect. It doesn't come from breaking yourself, trying to meet expectations that were never yours to meet. Abundance comes from alignment, from stepping into the place where your spirit and your purpose touch hands, from recognizing that you are not just allowed to ask for more, you were created to. That's the shift happening inside you now. The realization that you don't have to apologize for wanting a fuller life, that asking for wisdom isn't greedy, that reaching for strength isn't selfish, that expanding into the person you were always meant to become isn't a sin. It's obedience. And Aries, once you know who the true provider is, you stop living like the world can deny you. You stop shrinking. You stop settling. Something bold rises in you, not arrogance, but clarity. A knowing that what is assigned to you cannot be rationed, limited, budgeted, or withheld. You finally understand that the door you thought was locked wasn't locked at all. It was waiting for you to gather enough faith to push it open. Stay right here with me, because from this new sense of grounding, there is a deeper revelation waiting for you. A truth about the opportunities circling back toward your life, the ones you thought were gone forever, and why they're returning now, at this exact moment in your becoming. Aries, let me take you somewhere quieter for this part, because what's unfolding for you now isn't loud. It's not dramatic in the way the world expects change to be. It's something gentler, something wiser, something that feels like a hand on your back guiding you toward a doorway you thought had closed forever. You know, there are certain moments in life we carry like unfinished sentences. Opportunities we touched but couldn't hold. Dreams we reached for but had to set down. Not because we didn't care enough. Not because we weren't capable. But because we weren't ready in the way our spirit needed us to be. And Aries, there were times you walked away from something that felt meant for you. Times when your heart whispered yes, but your circumstances said not yet. Times when you stood at the edge of a possibility and felt the world tug it out of reach. But here is the thing no one ever tells you. What is truly yours does not disappear. It circles, it matures, it waits. And then, when you've grown into a version of yourself that can actually carry the weight of it, it finds its way back. That is what is happening around you now. Those doors you once pressed your forehead against, hoping for any sign that they might open, they are shifting again, quietly, almost shyly, as if they recognize you but are seeing you with new eyes, because you are not the same person who stood there years ago. You have more steadiness in you now, more clarity, more truth. You know what you want, and more importantly, what you won't settle for. Life isn't bringing these opportunities back out of pity. It's bringing them back because you finally match the frequency of the future you once saw too early. There is something powerful about that, Aries, something almost poetic. To meet a dream again after you've been reshaped by seasons that softened your pride but strengthened your spine. To stand where you once stood, but this time with a heart that knows its worth. I want you to imagine this with me. Picture a door you once reached for but couldn't open. Now, imagine approaching it again, but as someone wiser, calmer, more grounded in your purpose. Imagine placing your hand on it, and it opens effortlessly. That is the kind of return your spirit is being prepared for. Not a second chance that feels fragile. A full circle moment that feels inevitable. These next chapters for you are not about chasing. They're about claiming. They're about stepping into things that were always meant to be yours, but required a stronger version of you to hold them. And Aries, you've become that version. You're entering a season where life begins to move toward you, where agreements align, where ideas find their structure, where the right people recognize you without explanation, where opportunities don't test you, they welcome you. And the most beautiful part is this: nothing can block what is returning. Not fear, not timing, not the hands that held power over you in the past. You have crossed the threshold where resistance loses its grip. Stay with me, because as these doors begin to open, there is a deeper truth rising behind them. A truth about what this expansion is shaping you for, and why your story is only now beginning to reveal its real direction. Aries, before I go any further, I want you to take one quiet breath with me, because what I'm about to say isn't just information. It's something your spirit has been waiting to hear for a very long time. There is a tenderness in the way life is circling back toward you now, a softness in how the universe is choosing to restore you. And I want you to feel that, not just understand it. You see, somewhere along the way, Aries, you were taught that receiving too much was selfish, that wanting more meant you were becoming someone unrecognizable. But look at you. Even in your hardest seasons, you never stopped giving. You never stopped fighting for others. You never stopped showing up with a heart that refused to turn cold. Wealth does not corrupt a soul like yours. It reveals it. And maybe that's why this moment feels so sacred, because God is not simply handing you money. He is handing you something far deeper, things that don't sit in a bank account, but in the core of who you are. He is returning pieces of you that were taken when you were too young to defend them. He is restoring rooms in your spirit you didn't know had been locked. He is giving back the dignity, the confidence, the peace that certain experiences once tried to steal from you. This is not greed. This is correction. This is not you reaching for more. This is life paying what it owes. And Aries, there were years when you carried burdens that were never yours. Years when you worked twice as hard for half the recognition. Years when you stayed steady while others walked away with the rewards. Those moments didn't disappear. They created a ledger in the spiritual realm, one that is finally being balanced. What's coming toward you now is not luck. It's retribution. It's restoration. It's inheritance. Not the kind written in wills, but the kind written into your destiny long before you knew how strong you would have to become. You are being entrusted with more because your heart has proven it can hold more, and that matters because money, for someone like you, never stays money. It becomes shelter. It becomes opportunity. It becomes protection for people you love. It becomes a legacy your future family will stand on, without even realizing the battles you fought to build it. This wealth shift, it isn't about the numbers. It's about the mission tied to your name. It's about the influence you're meant to carry. It's about the lives that will change simply because you finally have the resources to do what your heart has wanted to do for years. And as this blessing begins to unfold, something else awakens with it. A deeper clarity, a quiet understanding that your story was never meant to end in survival. It was always meant to rise into purpose. Stay with me here, Aries, because as this restoration settles into your life, there is one more truth waiting to meet you. A truth about what happens when a soul like yours finally stops resisting its own destiny and opens the door to the chapter that was written for you from the very beginning. Aries, if you're still here with me, still listening in this quiet place we've created together, then I want you to hear this next part with your whole heart. Because it isn't just another idea or another message. It's a calling, a personal one meant only for you. There comes a point in every soul's journey when the world stops being something you fight against and becomes something you shape. And Aries, you are standing right at that threshold. You didn't just stumble into this message, you were guided here, almost pulled by an unseen thread, because something larger than you has decided that this is the moment where your life begins to widen, where you stop shrinking around old fears, where you loosen your grip on survival and finally allow yourself to rise. And I know, truly I do, that stepping into abundance can feel terrifying. Not because you don't want it, but because somewhere inside, a small part of you wonders whether you deserve it, whether you're ready, whether you'll know what to do when the weight of real responsibility settles in your hands. But listen to me, Aries. You were chosen for this precisely because your heart does not run from duty. Because when others look for the easiest path, you look for the honest one. Because you carry a kind of courage that does not ask for applause, only purpose. Wealth, for someone like you, is not an indulgence. It is an assignment. It is the universe saying, I trust you with more because you give more. I trust you to hold power because you do not worship it. I trust you to lead because your fire lights the way, it does not burn it down. And this new era you're entering, it isn't only about the transformation of your bank account, it's the transformation of your influence, your reach, your ability to build what you once only dreamed of, to create stability not just for yourself, but for the people whose lives brush against yours, family, strangers, generations you will never meet, but who will live better because you said yes to your calling now. You stepping into wealth is not an act of ego, it is an act of service. It is you saying, I will not dim, I will not hide, I will not apologize for the blessings that allow me to lift others higher. And maybe that's why this moment feels so powerful, because something in you knows you are done with the old chapters of scarcity and self-doubt. You are done waiting for permission. You are done asking life if you're allowed to take up space. You are ready to claim the era that was always meant for you. The era where your confidence deepens, your vision expands, and your steps finally feel aligned with the future that has been calling your name for years. So as you breathe here with me, feel the shift, feel the ground under you steady, feel the old version of you gently fall away. You are not walking into abundance, you are rising into it. And before we move forward, let me leave you with this truth to carry in your chest. Your life is not just changing, it is turning toward its highest direction. Quietly, deliberately, right now. And if you're ready, stay with me, Aries. There is still more waiting for you just beyond this moment. Aries, before you go, I want you to hold on to something with me for just a moment, because what's unfolding in your life right now, it isn't small, it isn't accidental, it isn't something that will pass like a feeling or fade like a dream. This is the moment your story tilts toward its higher purpose, the moment heaven leans in, the moment the weight you've carried quietly begins to lift. And maybe you can feel it, that subtle pull in your chest, that quiet knowing in your spirit, that whisper that says, something is coming for me. And this time, it stays. You're not stepping into wealth, Aries. You're stepping into alignment, into identity, into the version of yourself you were always meant to grow into. And I want you to hear this with your whole heart. You are not alone in this chapter. You are surrounded by a community of Aries souls who are rising with you, healing with you, believing with you, and I'm right here too, walking this path beside you, one message at a time. So, if something in you shifted today, if something softened, if something opened, let me know in the comments. Your words matter here. Your journey matters here. This space was built for you. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, stay close, because what's coming next for you is bigger than you think, and I don't want you to miss a single sign meant for your path. Aries, trust what's unfolding. Trust what you're becoming. Trust the timing that has finally turned in your favor. Your breakthrough isn't on the horizon. It has already begun. And when you're ready, come with me to the next message. Your journey continues there, and so does your rise.